From hot dogs to cool kitties, this is Darkside of the Pooch.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Darkside of the Pooch. I'm Tony Curry, along with Dr. Rab Stewart, runs the Rossburg Animal Hospital, 208-0301. I recently was blessed enough to go down to the coast with the kids for a couple days. And, of course, when I do that, I prefer to take my pet to Rossburg Animal Hospital to have it boarded because I know they do what they say they're going to do. I know he's going to be played with. I know he's going to be loved. And they know my dog there because that's where he goes. And so they did fantastic work. I got back, and while I was out of town, Dr. Rab, I decided to go ahead and have a little tune-up on a Rainer, and we'll get into that in just a second. First of all, the show brought to you by Sasquatch Toys and Comics. 300,000 comics, toys from Legos to Star Wars stuff, the stuff still in the box, stuff out of the box, unbelievable, 60s, 70s, 80s cards, you name it. I mean, it's unbelievable. This place has got everything. Even some of my collectibles are down there at Sasquatch Toys and Comics in Homewood. Check them out. Those guys down there doing wonderful work. So the first thing you said to me when I came and picked up my Pooch today was my dog has a heart murmur. Mm-hmm. Now, normally, I'm assuming that if it was something serious, you would have had it behind closed doors. So I realized it wasn't that big deal because I trust you, obviously, but that sounds a little scary because I know when you have a heart murmur as a human being, that always kind of comes with some difficulties, I'm assuming. So tell me exactly is a heart murmur in a dog and why that's so common.
Well, heart murmurs can be caused by several different things. The most common reason we see heart murmurs in dogs is one of the valves is starting to wear out. And most commonly it's the mitral valve. Mitral valve starts showing some signs of wear and tear. And so when it's supposed to be closed, it stays open a little bit.
Okay.
And that allows blood to flow from the ventricle on the left side, which is at the bottom of the heart, to the atria, which is at the top of the heart. And so for a small period of time, you have blood that is coming into the atria from two different ways.
Okay.
From the bottom part of the heart, and then also from the lungs. And so over time,
is that what a heart murmur is?
A heart murmur is just an abnormal sound in the heart.
Okay.
And it's usually caused by a valve problem.
And it's called a murmur because it's a murmur, right?
It sounds strange. Yeah. Sounds weird.
Yeah.
And so eventually, when you have a mitral valve problem, you end up with the top chamber of the heart on the left side. It gets dilated. It gets big because you have blood coming into the heart from two different directions at one time. So there's an overload there. And then eventually you'll get enlargement of the entire left side of the heart. And then down the road, you'll also start getting enlargement with the other side of the heart. And then you'll start to develop fluid in the abdomen and fluid in the lungs and all that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
So when we hear a heart murmur on a pet, we can make a lot of assumptions. Yeah. But ultimately, you kind of have to look around and do some testing to figure out exactly what's causing it. There are several medications that you can put them on based on what you find that will help them live longer, help them live happy while they live longer. Mm-hmm. But there's usually not anything you can do to cure it. And there's not anything you can do to reverse what's already there, basically.
Yeah. I like to keep my dog busy. I walk him 3.5, 4 miles a day, and people go, "Oh my gosh, it's only an hour. It's an hour and 15 minutes. So you get 3 miles an hour." And of course, I like to get the exercise as well. Recently, since he turned 10 earlier this year, he does seem to be slowing down a little bit. I realize it's hot outside. Sometimes he'll stop and he'll just lay on the grass. He doesn't want to get up, which is kind of rare for him because he's an Australian Shepherd. He usually gets up. Not saying that has anything to do with a heart murmur, but I certainly don't want to be making my animal do something. I feel like I'm walking my grandma and I'm pulling her by the chain through the park. I don't. So I was asking you today, is it okay? Is there any way I can wear my dog out? My dog will let me know when it's had enough, correct?
Yeah, it'll let you know. He'll let you know when he's had enough.
Okay.
You just want to be, as you already are, aware of if he's tired or if he is, if he's been out of breath for a long time or whatever. You don't want to push him, which I know you don't anyway.
Yeah.
You have to let them, you don't want to get too far away from the house and then you got to get back and that, and that sort of thing. But you also don't want to not exercise them because then that's going to lead to a lot of other problems.
Sure.
So he's got to be able to go out and have fun and go on walks and run around and do what he wants to do. because the thing with dogs is they don't understand their health. They have no conception of what's going on. And if he is having some exercise intolerance from the murmur, which is possible, he can't put two and two together.
Yeah.
So you want to be judicious in what you let him do, but you also can't explain to him like, hey, Rainer, we can't throw the ball for an hour and a half today. We only got to throw it for 45 minutes, because he doesn't understand what's going on.
So what were some of the other things that it was time for him to get his checkup? I get some of his, I don't know, did you do parvo? I forget what shots you did. I know that he was also given the yearly flea and tick thing, which I think is fantastic. It's a shot now where you just, you get it once a year, which is wonderful. Talk about the other things you did with my Pooch this week.
Yeah, so we examined him and we gave him his distemper vaccine, gave him influenza vaccine, we gave him Bordetella vaccine. So when they're boarded, or if they spend a lot of time going on walks or doggy daycares or stuff, you want to be sure that they're up to date on that stuff, because they can catch that from other animals. And so we updated those. We gave him an injection, like you said, that's going to keep him from getting fleas and ticks for 12 months. And you've probably seen commercials for this thing on TV. It's just an injection that goes right underneath the skin.
That's awesome, man. To know that I don't have to deal with that, Jack, for the next 12 months, seriously, because that is one of the worst things. When you see that first tick in the house, it's like an ant. I had ants at the house about a month and a half ago, and I finally got rid of them. I didn't want to call somebody because it's expensive. But man, it's like one of those things where, like, why didn't I think of this ahead of time? A preemptive strike, so this is wonderful to know that I can go a year in between observances of this. It's great.
Yeah, it's really good. You don't have to remember to give anything. You don't have to fight with your dog to give it things if you do remember to give it.
Exactly.
And you don't have to worry about it.
That's fantastic.
And people come in the office all the time and they ask me, "Hey, have you heard about this new wonder drug that's supposed to help dogs, rescue people from burning buildings and help them learn how to drive cars and all this stuff?" And I tell people that if a vendor has not sent a rep to come into this building and tell me about a product, then it's not worth anything. Exactly. It's not worth anything.
Yeah.
So when you see a commercial on TV for like a legitimate animal product, because what we're talking about, this injection that we're talking about is from a huge veterinary vendor, right?
Yeah.
And so they've put a ton of marketing behind this, so it's a good product and it works. It's one of those things where if you've got good marketing behind it and it's a good product, it's good.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. I was well, first of all, before we talk about this past week, what did you have going on the last couple of weeks? I was not here last week. Did you have any crazy things happen at the store? You always have a good story about something that is kind of strange and bizarre that comes through the store at Rossbridge Animal Hospital. Anything happened this past week?
Not that is jumping to my forefront. We have the only thing that we saw that is fresh on my mind is a little bit strange is and this is more academic than anything else, but it's really interesting. And maybe I'll approach it like this. With what we do and with what, our human doctors do as well, everything is not super cut and dry. Like sometimes, it's almost 100% of the time, there are certain diseases that behave a certain way and will show you certain things on blood work. And they'll have certain symptoms, but every now and then you'll get one that the blood work is totally fine and they're having very strange symptoms, and you determine what's going on. You kind of backdoor it. So there's a disease called Cushing's disease, which we almost always diagnose with blood work. And a lot of times it's they can have some kind of nondescript signs. It's kind of a insidious disease. It's not fatal. They can live with it for a long time, but you almost always diagnose it with blood work.
Okay.
And we had this dog come in last week, and it was a bulldog. Its blood work was totally fine, and it had these horrible skin lesions all over it. And we tried to do a few things, it didn't work. But this Cushing's disease was never on our radar because the blood work was so good.
Yep.
And none of the normal blood work parameters were off. So we ended up taking biopsies of this dog and we sent them to a pathologist, and they said this is calcinosis cutis, which are very basically pathognomonic lesions, which just means when you see these lesions, it is almost always Cushing's disease. And I was like, how is this possible? The dog's blood work is totally normal. But sometimes that's just the way it goes. And that's what makes what we do, that's what makes medicine so difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, we were having a conversations about Scruffy Dog today, and the fact that this past year, I guess it was 2 years ago since he had cancer or whatever we thought it was, and she's like, my daughter's like, do you really think he really had cancer? Well, I said I don't know. I just know he got sick and it happened really, really fast. You'd rather have something happen really. It was the first time we had an animal, die at our hands while he was about that age. You're just not used to seeing that type of thing, but it happens. And we thank goodness we had our other dog, but we know that they're taken well care of, and it was one of those things that, of course, she's still pining for the other dog. She still wants us to get another dog. So I said, we'll see what happens there. Hey, I wanted to ask you real quick. We got just a second here because I know how much you love live music. I was in your store earlier today. I got a chance to go bring a Little Texas on stage. It's funny because I thought everyone knew who Little Texas was. Because I'm not a country fan. And so a lot of people were like, who? And it's been 35 years since they played. It's hard to believe, 35 years. That's the real disconnect, because when we say the 90s, it doesn't sound like that long ago, but it was 35 years ago. It's like, wait a minute, it's impossible. But it was so neat to see them in that type of venue. We saw them in the city of Brookwood at the ball field. It's on Ballfield Lane. You take a left, go to just put City of Brookwood, and it takes you right to the ball field. That's what it is in Brookwood. And I also did Taylor Hicks there. We've done some other acts there. Confederate Railroad played there. And it's funny because the first thing I think of is wow, how far has this band slid down to be playing a venue like this? But then I'm also thinking to myself, Cheap Trick, after they got done playing live at Budokan 2 nights later, were playing at the Iowa State Fair. And the funny thing is some bands would probably get out there and go, man, we just played in front of 40,000 people, and they will tell you over and over and over and over again, it doesn't matter. It does. I from a different standpoint, I used to spin records, at clubs. And there'd be nights where we had 2,000 people at the club, and it was fantastic. It wasn't because of me. It was just because of the club itself. And there'd be other nights where I had absolutely nobody in the dance floor, couldn't get them to dance. But I mean, you got to play. You got to play because you never know who's listening. And I just want to say they put on a wonderful show. They're in their 60s. I actually got a chance to talk to Porter Howe for a while. He's now doing the lead singing. And just a sweetheart of a guy. They could have been total a-holes. Because they've had number one hits. They've been there, done that, and they probably made their money. But they were super, super nice. Would have given me all the time in the world. And it was just really neat to see them in that type of venue. And I applaud their efforts. And I thank them for coming out to playing a ball field, because a lot of times true fans, if you had seen this band in the 90s and they were your favorite band, a lot of people were there, it was their favorite band, they could not believe that they were 5 feet away from Little Texas on Saturday night. There was a girl in front. She was in tears the entire time. She goes, I would have never thought in 30 years I'd ever get a chance to see my favorite band in this type of setting. It was so intimate. It was so wonderful. She had a chance to talk to the entire band, get their autographs, everything afterwards. And she said it was wonderful. So kudos to great rock and roll bands that continue to do that, whether it's the Leonard Skinnards or the Ted Nugents. They play these smaller venues or whatever. Keep doing it because it means a lot to your fans.
So Little Texas, I got them pulled up right here. So they have some really, really big hits. You want to guess?
They've had 14 top 20 songs.
Yeah. So you want to guess what their most popular song is on Spotify?
Well, I know My Love was the only number one song they had.
That's the third most popular.
I would have to say, What Could Have Been.
That's second most popular. You're working your way up.
And then I'm going to have to say God Bless Texas.
Number one.
That's
number one.
Yeah.
58 million.
And the only reason
on Spotify.
Wow. And I always say that because I saw how the crowd reacted Listen, it was raining. It was sprinkling. Everyone was sitting down. The crowd was probably average in their 40s or 50s. In Brookwood, Alabama, and I can't speak highly enough of Joe Barger and the mayor out there. He does fantastic work. He's really trying to shake this town up and really make it something special. And they were asking people to get up. They were doing their phones, and they were asking them to do the wave, and people got into it. And then he told everyone to come down to the fence. He walked. The lead singer and guitar player Porter Howard, he walked throughout the crowd. I did have to do that. They didn't have to do that. And I just thought that was really, really cool. At some point, we all have our highs, we all have our lows, and hopefully you're consistently and you're up there for a long period of time. But when you're talking about that type of business, I think about Taylor Hicks, for example, who is Taylor Hicks. Everyone knows who Taylor Hicks is. I mean, it's a pretty common name in these worlds because of American Idol, but he won American Idol. And I remember when he was winning that, he was like the number one guy you could get on. If you get, because I had him on. If you had Taylor Hicks on your show, man, you were going to be hitting some listeners. And now people are like, gee, I wonder what he's doing these days. He's still out touring, he's still doing shows, but he's just doing them at his pace. He can do as many shows as he wants, or he doesn't do any shows if he doesn't want to. And that's the life he wants to live, and it's a pretty damn good life, right? And he's getting a chance to do something he loves to do, and he's very, very good at it. So, but it just goes to show that our lives ebb and flow, and from a professional standpoint, you go to work every day, and for the most part, you got the same stuff you're dealing with. I go to work every day, and it's a little haphazard, a little out. But when you're in the show business type of world, you just don't know what's going to happen from day to day, and you just go out there and you put on your best show. Like my dad used to say, it's not a shift, it's a show. Whenever I went to Kentucky Fried Chicken, it's not a shift, it's a show, Tone. I'm like, yes, sir. It's put on a show, man. Everything's an entertainment. Make sure you put on a good show for everybody. And it's going to pay off well. But, I just thought about all the times you've seen bands in different venues, and I'm sure Fish probably played some real crap holes, man, before they started playing sold out shows everywhere. And you know what? It may be someday in 20 years where there's only 2 members still left in the band, like the Grateful Dead, and they're playing, small little places like the Garage or something. I mean, you don't know. You just don't know. But as long as people continue to come out and see them and they're still playing good songs, then let it be. But it's pretty good.
So, we talked about them playing MSG and playing these Fish.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Oh.
I can't.
How about this?
Yeah, I can't hear you. It's
so
okay.
Weird. That's so weird.
I don't know. You just went out. It's a good time to end the show, my friend. It's perfect. No, it's good. Rossbridge Animal Hospital. He is Dr. Rab Stewart. At Rossbridge Vet is their website. Check them out, 208-0301, 208-0301. If you are looking to aboard your pets, it's still not too late to do that. We've got the holidays coming right around the corner, college football season coming up, a lot of things going on. And, of course, Darkside of the Pooch is brought to you by Sasquatch Toys and Comics right there in beautiful Homewood. It worked out great. I did all the talking. See, I was talking so damn much. The algorithm just shut you off. Just shut you down. But thank you for all you do. We'll look forward to catching up with you next week. Darkside of the Pooch right here. Brought to you by Sasquatch Toys and Comics on Tony Curry Radio. Thank you, my friend. There you go.